the idea and the concept of a New Year's resolution is something that I've always had a struggle wrapping my head around. I always thought that, well, as someone who wants to dedicate their channel to some mixture of fitness and cars and other technology things and whatnot, I've always thought that the whole idea of, New Year, new me and getting into the gym on January 1st and starting a new habit was always just weird and superficial. And I've always thought that, and this might seem a little bit harsh, but I've always thought that it was always some sort of excuse. It was always some way to put things off. And that's why I've never in my entire life had a New Year's resolution. And I understand that there is a very bare bones level of human psychology to it. There is a very base level of, as humans, we like to see a new beginning to a new year, and we like to attribute it to a new beginning of ourselves, which again, I guess makes sense, but it doesn't really sit right with me, especially with fitness, which is what I really want to focus on today, because the entire premise of this video is going to be, yeah, you can have a New Year's resolution. Yeah, you can start going to the gym on January 1st, but the gym isn't going to close early. It's not like all of the month of December, the gym is closed. You can go to the gym before January 1st and get a head start of people. Using New Year, New Me and having a New Year's resolution as an excuse to eat unhealthy all throughout the month of December is just lazy. It's just a poor excuse. It is a very self-destructive habit that I really hope none of my personal viewers are falling into. I'm watching you, but regardless, it is just a pretty ridiculous thing that I see a lot of people going into, and I just spat everywhere. And I want to talk about that today because it means a lot to me, and it's something that I struggled with in the past. I remember all the way back when I was a wee little lad that I would always put off my eating healthy and my working out and my dieting to January 1st. I saw the big old 1 on the day and the month on the calendar, and I thought, New Year, new me. Once January 1st comes around, I'm going to go absolutely insane with my diet. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to start doing a lot of cardio. But the month prior, all throughout probably November and December, I would just not give a crap about it in the entire world. I would just eat unhealthy. I would be really disgusting with my activity and my diet and whatnot. And I still sometimes fall into this. I always find myself saying in my head, oh, I'm just going to do this today and I'll be better about it tomorrow, which is a very self-destructive habit, and it's procrastination and laziness, which is an entire other different topic for an entirely other different video. But I'm not going to get too much about that into in this video because it's pretty obvious to determine that the whole idea of waiting until January 1st is just procrastination. And I'm just going to say, if you feel personally offended by this, then it might be time to do some reflecting, because if you're waiting to go to the gym until January 1st, and by the way, when I say going to the gym, I don't mean actually physically going to the gym. I mean doing something that you know will better your life, but you're waiting until January 1st to do so. So I'm going to say now, if you're getting personally offended by this, if I were you, I would do some self-reflecting, because I don't know why you're waiting to do something. And as I said earlier, it's not just about going to the gym. It's about doing any sort of positive habit that you know will benefit your life, but for some reason you're not getting a head start. Everyone in the entire world will be starting new things on January 1st. But according to the Baylor College of Science, it's easy to set a resolution at the end of December or beginning of January, but studies show that 88% of people who set New Year resolutions fail them within the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks might be a very small percentile, but think about it. Think about everything. I want you to do some personal reflecting. Think about every single New Year's resolution you've ever made and think, am I still doing that now? Has it become a habit that I've so determinedly set myself out to achieve? 99% no, it's not. That's not how that really works, because New Year's resolution, as I said, is attributed to a new beginning, but so many people fail and so many people can't keep up with it, because they attribute that beginning to something else, which is the next point I want to make on this video. Sometimes attributing a really healthy habit that you yourself know you need to do in order to improve your way of living, sometimes attributing that habit to something else to happen for you isn't really a good thing. I mean, some cases, in some scenarios, I can't really think of any, that is definitely not true, but what I'm trying to say is that the perfect time will never arise. The perfect time to get working out, the perfect time to start your business, the perfect time to do anything that will ever benefit you ever will never happen. And so thus introduces the art of just starting and just showing up, which I believe I've already made a video about, where I went into great detail into how important it is to just show up, how important it is to just, even if you're having a bad day, just show up to work or show up to the gym. Don't skip class, because those things, they build discipline and whatnot. If you attribute to, let's say, eating healthy to the New Year's resolution, then come January 1st, you're going to be super determined and super motivated to just absolutely shred yourself of weight. But then once the motivation runs out, you're going to be like, oh, well, January 1st isn't for another 345 days. I might as well just stop. You can't keep doing this to yourself. You can't keep saying that I'm going to do this until January, or I'm going to do this come January 1st, because you're attributing something to a standstill point in time, which is very self-destructive. And again, I'm not some psychiatrist, I'm not some therapist, I'm just some random guy on the internet, but I speak from quite a bit of experience with a lot of self-image issues and a lot of consistency with my diet and working out issues. And let me tell you, just starting was the best thing I could have ever done. And take, for example, my YouTube channel. I used to always be afraid to record because I was always waiting for the perfect scenario to start. Every single one of my most early videos was in my old college dormitory, where I lived with someone else right next to me, and there were constantly people walking in and out of the hallways, shutting doors very loudly. People were talking, walking past my room, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I always thought, okay, I'm going to record at this time when my roommate is out of the room and when there's no one in the hallway. But that's so unrealistic, and that's partly laziness. And so one day I just started to record and I started talking, and now we're here, and I've made a lot of progress, and I'm actually really proud of myself for it. What I'm trying to say is that you won't achieve that by waiting until January 1st to start whatever you're going to start, because you should have goals. You should have aspirations, and you should have dreams. You should have a want to improve your way of living, because I know I'm not perfect, and I know you're not perfect. I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, but having goals gives you something to strive for. You know all of this, but attributing the start of that goal to some concrete point in time that is only one day out of the entire year is not good. It is not a safe practice. It will result in a loss of motivation really, really fast. Here's a pretty interesting graphic that I found from InsideOutMastery.com, and it is titled, How Long New Year's Resolutions Last. And as you can see, the graph is pretty colorful. And at the far right, you can see the most stark color, which is a bright green, which means that only about 10% or less of people who ever make New Year's resolutions achieve success, and 90% have at least quit or still in the pursuit after 2 years or less. And that or less means that you just basically quit, or you're still thinking about it or whatnot. So only roughly a 10% margin of people will achieve success with their New Year's resolution. That is not very good. Those aren't very good odds. And you might be thinking, well, January 1st is just another day out of the entire year, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that special. So how is starting on January 1st different from starting on, let's say, November 12th? If you're going to boil it down like that, it's not different. There's no physically different attributes into either of those days, but it is the mental, it is the psychological difference between a random day out of the winter months versus January 1st, because we all attribute to January 1st being new beginnings, a new year, new me. And this all ties back into motivation. And I know I've made plenty of videos and I've made plenty of comments on how I think that using motivation as a means to get stuff done that is more positive for your health or for money or whatnot is just a self-destructive fleeting moment, because motivation is an emotion, and emotions don't last. They're not permanent things. Now, there are a few exceptions to what I've just spoken about. There are a few people who will absolutely see November or January 1st as a new beginning and will follow through with their New Year's resolution, which is that 10% that we recently saw in the graphic I just showed. But the chances of that being you are about 9-1, which is not very good. I think it's 9-1. I think I did that math right. But regardless, I wouldn't attribute a positive habit to New Year's resolution. I would just start now, because the later you wait, the later you have to wait for the positive effects of your habit that you want to get done to come into fruition, which brings me into my next point. Waiting to do something, and I'm going to use fitness as another example, waiting to start lifting weights and getting into the gym will do you nothing, because that time passes anyways. If you wait until January 1st to start eating correctly and getting to the gym, the time will pass anyways, and that time that has passed could have been time you could have dedicated to getting into better shape. You could have been that much ahead. I truly believe that the months of late November to all of December should be dedicated to enjoying time with family, giving and receiving gifts, and eating a lot of junk food. I myself, I love nutmeg, I love croissants, so I'm going to be going crazy with the carbs, and I have been going crazy because my grandma makes some banging cookies. But November and December are probably the only months out of the entire year that I will even think about eating like that, like I have been. And it is about time that I got back on track because I'm starting to notice a little bit of weight gain here and there, but I'm not waiting until January 1st to do this. And that's it. This video should be going up on New Year's Eve, so I wish you all a very happy and very safe New Year's Day. Please be careful if you're driving because there are a lot of drunk idiots on the road on New Year's Eve. And with that, stay safe.